Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters. And thanks to some code breaking by his partners Hunter and Gazelle, Keys is finally able to unlock AIMEE, an incredibly advanced artificial intelligence program that appears in the form of a beautiful and seductive woman. But what a smitten Keys doesn't realize, and what Gazelle soon discovers, is that AIMEE is an advanced infiltration program and has been designed to learn from whoever downloads her and become whatever he most desires. This is my raw reaction review to AIMEE, the Visitor.
This video is sponsored by Full Moon Features. If you love horror collectibles, make sure to check out Full Moon's Tiny Terrors. Stick around for more information at the end of the video, or go to the website in the link below.
Hey guys, back here with another review from Full Moon Features. Last one I did tackle was Demonic Toys. That's still up on the channel if you haven't checked that out. I do recommend going to see what that one's about. And now we're back here with AIMEE, the Visitor. This one a little bit different, well, a lot different than Demonic Toys. This one has to do with an AI and a computer hacker of sorts. So kind of a contemporary film issues as well, a little more current than what we're used to seeing. I think this one, I think one of the big pluses for these Full Moon Features is the runtimes here. Demonic Toys was what, maybe an hour at most. This one, breezy runtime of an hour 8 minutes, which is a little refreshing when we're dealing with a lot of these films that tend to go on for a little bit longer than sometimes they should. So this one moves right along, and it feels that way as well. I think with this one, looking at the setting of what we're dealing with more so, this being our main character Keys, has a work relationship, a friendship with a couple of other hackers. You're primarily in one central location, which is just a big apartment building of sorts. And that's where we stay for about, I think, 99.9% of this film. So, with that, sometimes I think you run that risk of being a little stagnant in one location, but it doesn't feel that way here. I think Charles Band did a really good job of making use of the different locations, the room in general, going to different areas, making it feel a little bit different, but still the same, if that makes any sense. So it does move right along in that sense. It doesn't feel like it's spinning its tires as soon as we start moving. I mean, it doesn't stop till those credits are rolling. So, I think it's a pretty digestible watch in that sense. But honestly, this one did not resonate with me overall. I think that runtime and just the feel of it alone was the biggest plus for me. But, this one, looking at it, we're not dealing with anything groundbreaking here. And I wasn't really expecting that with a Full Moon Feature. I was, going into this, I talked about it into my Demonic Toys review. With that type of stuff, I felt like I was almost transported back to the early to mid 90s of being a kid and watching that type of stuff, that kind of just disposable horror that's on television. This one being a little more contemporary, like I said, I don't know. For me, it didn't really feel like what I'm used to seeing from Full Moon Features. I understand that we're maybe trying something different, different voices out there, different scenarios to tackle, but this one, it just wasn't as much fun as I thought it was going to be. While it didn't spin its tires for me, it just was moving from scene to scene, really. Very overly sexual in here. They do deal with a lot of those sexual aspect. Keys, our main character, is kind of, I would say, more of a sexual character, and AIMEE, the AI, does kind of take advantage of that in a sense, and you deal with that. There's a lot of sexual imagery, a lot of scenes. There's, I don't know, couple awkward scenes, I would say, overall. So it's something that's, for me, that stuff has to be kind of sparing, I think, in my watches, when we're kind of, sitting in that scene for a minute or two. It kind of gets a little awkward for me. So that type of stuff, I was kind of hoping we would get past fairly quick, but then it does seem like as soon as we get past one scene, we're right back in it a few minutes later. So and I would say that aspect for me was pretty awkward. And then, I think at times the dialogue maybe just doesn't feel a little flushed out as much. There isn't, while you understand the motivations of the characters, there really isn't that deep rooted connectedness that I would feel with our main character. He's almost comes off almost annoying. So it's not something where you want to see this character necessarily prevail, and us being the audience kind of knowing the circumstance going into it. You're maybe a little more frustrated with this very smart computer hacker um, being taken over by this AI. But then, in that sense, that I think it's decent motivation in him kind of being a little more awkward in actual social settings. That he does deliver some dialogue about not being able to connect with people. And again, another issue is some of the dialogue tends to be pretty much on the nose for the most part. There isn't really any kind of breadcrumbing along, kind of just giving the audience a little bit. Tends to be a little dialogue heavy in terms of whatever the goal is. We're going to mention it verbally for the audience so they don't have to think too hard. I think the dialogue could be better. In terms of gore, and I think that's what a lot of people are looking for, maybe for these full moon features. I did expect a little bit more. There's one horrific scene involving an animal here. So if you're hesitant about that stuff, I would recommend maybe fast forwarding when you do watch it. It is pretty horrific, but really, I think overall, other than maybe a couple other ones, there's not that much gore in here at all. Not a lot of kills to be had in this one either. So it doesn't really stick out in that standpoint of where you can say, I did see a decent amount of pretty good kills. There's one that tends to be pretty abrupt, and you would think maybe with so much character, with just only a handful of characters being in there, that maybe we would make the most out of the kills and the deaths that we do see on screen. But it tends to be on to the next thing. As soon as something happens, we don't really get to sit with it. It's just moving on to that next scene. And I think that maybe has to do with that an hour 8 runtime. Again, I did enjoy the quick watch. These are pretty digestible in the sense, whether you like them or you don't. Overall, for AIMEE the Visitor, I'm gonna say proceed with caution. I mean, I think if you're into full moon features, definitely give it a watch. I don't know if this one's really going to resonate with you though. If you're used to, at least from my standpoint, the typical full moon features things that I've seen, from the early to mid 90s growing up, it doesn't really feel like that. But if full moon features is your bag and you have a big interest in it, I think it might be worth a watch for you. But yeah, I think that really wraps it up for me here with the AIMEE the Visitor. Again, I've done another full moon features, Demonic Toys. It's still on the channel. If you haven't checked that one out and you're a fan of the Demonic Toys franchise, go back and check that one out. But other than that, on the channel, we are pretty deep in our Fantastic Fest 2023 coverage. A lot of great stuff on the channel. The Uncle is up on the channel. What a wild watch that is. Last up in Yuma County, great watch. Definitely check out a review there. All spoiler free, so you can go in without any hesitation. But other than that, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for me here. Until next time, I'm Luke Janesco, and stay scared.